Yeah, and that's what I was going to say too. At the end of the day, we're all human. Nobody can do it perfectly. No teacher can do it perfectly. You're not going to do it perfectly. Oh my gosh, you'll make mistakes.
That's good to remember.
There's no way to navigate homeschool without the trial and effort, kind of. Like that's the way you figure it out. There's no way around that. You're just going to have to feel out some things and change some things. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. But at the end of the day, you want the goal to be about connection and relationships, and that so that when they hear that outside voice that says, like, you're dumb, you don't know what you're talking about, you'll never be able to do this, that they'll know that I know how to learn and I can figure this out for myself, and if I can't, I'll be okay with that because I tried to get everything. So
I love that. I think that's such an important skill to learn that isn't taught in school, but should be parents' job, is to make sure to instill and embed in your kids that, like you're saying, you can learn. And if these comments do come at you, how do you stand strong in it instead of just believing it willy-nilly, which we often do. Even now when you read something in like a news article, immediately you're like, oh, that must be the truth. Like I think school does that to us. You just read something and you assume that that's what it is. And then you want to fight people about it almost. Like, well, that's what it said. And it's like, who wrote that? Like, do you know who wrote that? A cat wrote that when they were like bored on the keyboard. It has no meaning or standard, but like we attach so much truth to it because that's what we got used to in school, because we got tested for it. So we just like take those things as the truth instead of actually trusting our like gut, our heart, our mind to do more research or know that we know what's right.
Right.
It's odd.
So I would say that's another difference. And again, it doesn't reflect, I have teacher friends, so I feel like
I
discrepancy here, but there is not school. It's so hard. I try not to have negative feelings about public school because I know that, I had what I thought was a really good public school experience, but I didn't come out the learner that I could have been, and I didn't know that until I started homeschool.
Yeah.
And this is a whole new world.
Well, thinking back about some of our like friends back in high school, there's a few people that were getting really bad grades, but I knew for a fact were really smart people. They just weren't being asked, I guess, what they wanted to learn about. They didn't have the subject that was specifically, because everyone has a different skill or a different thing that they're passionate about, they would love to learn, and some of those things aren't offered in public school. I mean, we get electives, but they're like, I don't know.
Yeah. Right.
But I know some really smart people, but they were considered dumb or failing or, which then you have to do like detention or do more extra work, and then all that time they could be spent learning and putting towards a skill or a passion is wasted. And then when your teachers are telling you, oh, you're dumb, you didn't pass, you didn't, like constantly being told that you're not doing something right, that weighs heavy on you. And why wouldn't you just want to give up and start skipping and start, because of the like response you're getting, you would want to just quit and be like, well, what's the point? If everyone's saying that I'm dumb, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing it, you would just want to quit and then not pursue certain things. And then down the line, if you wanted to go into college or whatever, like college is a whole separate thing. Because that's things I didn't know before, It's weird because this whole thing happens, like you go to school. I always thought you had to go to school and you had to go to college because that was just kind of what was sold to me. And then you get out of it, you find out certain things and things start crumbling down and you're like, what is the point of all of this? What is everybody up to? Like you're just taking kids to school to kind of keep busy. And then there's this whole like separation of family that I really struggle with that I didn't know about. And then you kind of find out where, I don't know, it's a bigger conversation of this whole like bigger system.
It's a big conversation. I would say actually, for me personally, college is one of those things that, again, I have some probably unpopular opinions, and it may change. I don't really know. College is tricky for me. I didn't like it. I didn't finish it. I went a different route with trade, and I thought that was really practical for me. It's a life skill I'll keep forever and ever, and I didn't
which
do it
is
again.
Which is so important, because even when you look at things now, how fast things are changing, how fast the job market has changed, how fast we're moving into a whole separate direction. So anyone who's gone, I went to school to college for business, and I love things that I learned, but it was like instilled in me that if I didn't go to college, I wasn't going to get a job. I wasn't going to be able to do anything. Like, it was pretty much, this is your only way, instead of giving me options. And some people, a lot of people who went to college are in debt, are struggling to keep a job because the job market has switched so much. Those who have a trade, you can always put that to work because certain skills will always be needed. But when it comes to, I don't know, it was really big, just like, I'm struggling to find an example, but I know there's so many, but like certain businesses have come and failed. Now there's this whole like metaverse that's coming into play, and people are constantly looking for like, I know, like coding and this like new content to put this in this new world that's not real but is real because people have accepted it. And so it is true and real for us to live in a video game. And it seems so crazy to think about, because you're like, there's no way people are gonna do it. And another conversation, what the heck are NFTs? Are you familiar with this whole thing? An NFT. So it's a new currency of art. And if you buy an NFT, people are buying it for millions of dollars. Somehow they're encoding money into this picture. And if you buy the picture, you can use it in metaverse. It's like e-money laundering. It's the craziest thing. You got to look at NFTs. But but people have now believed it. And so now it's like the next step of cryptocurrency, which if before was like, that's not real money. But then you look at like real money, you're like, that's not real money either. So if you get enough people believing it, it works. So now crypto worked, and now it's like you buy these pictures and they're worth money, and you can resell them for now millions of dollars of a picture of a duck. And because you have it, you can have it in your metaverse world where people can come and hang in a digital space. It's so hard to like discuss and wrap your mind around, but it's a video game. We're living in a video game, but it's real because people are now getting paid for it, getting money for it. People are getting hired for it. When I started with like social media, it was so cringy, and it still is, but like the word influencer is just kind of icky. But now people are social media managers and are making hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? That was never a talk. There was never a job before. And then that might go away because now there's different things. And then, unfortunately, like for the world economically, there's a huge recession going on. So what are we going to do about it? If you have a trade job, you can still use your skill because people are going to be needing them. But if there's no need for grocery stores because nobody can get there and the truckers didn't deliver, it's a whole, again, separate, bigger conversation. But I struggle with this push of like, you have to do this, you have to do that because that's the only way you're going to get a job, which isn't necessarily true. And the market's always changing.
So I guess that would be another, like, file that under my list of whys. Is I don't want to raise kids who are subject to whatever this money culture tells them they have to do. I want to raise kids who are independent, who can survive, like, a world crash, like we're about to have. I want kids who can know how to do practical things for themselves, like grow food. Milk a cow, cut hair, something that they know how to do practically. That would be an asset to them later, a skill that they could trade with somebody else to help them function apart from the metaverse. I can't.
But it's true because so they were doing this whole, like, I think trying to get rid of money, coins really fast kind of went away. And now it's into this whole, with the e-commerce and the crypto and the money being really digital. Plus, I just found out that 80% of all American dollars were printed in the last 3 years.
Surprise!
Like, it's literally monopoly money now. Like, we just...
Do we have time for the Federal Reserve, or is that another day?
Oh, yeah, we should really do a separate... When I found out the truth about money, that it's in Federal Reserve and banking, and you're just like, it's literally monopoly money. We're all just pretending. But the whole thing is debt. When you're holding physical money in your hand, you're already, if you're holding $10, you already owe $100. Like, and you can't just print money out of nowhere. Everyone's like, yay, we're getting money, we're getting money. I'm like, who's giving you what money? From where are you just getting mad? Since when? You know, the joke was always like, money doesn't grow on trees, and then now randomly it does, and everyone's game for it. And I'm like,
yeah. I don't know what the answer to all this is. All I do know is when I think of the days to come, and I don't know what's ahead, I'm thankful for the opportunity to have my family home, in quotes, and that we're fostering these relationships together, and we can talk about things like this and not in a school setting where they're going to tell you, you know, don't tell your parents what we talked about today. No, we'll talk about it at home for what it is. We can explore it together, and we can compare it with, you know, a world that we know that is not like a world that is real and not virtual. Oh my gosh. And speaking of virtual, I can't with these virtual schools. Oh my gosh. Nothing drives me more crazy than to see like this. Your kid will find enough ways to be on a screen and like screen time, whatever. Like, I don't have any strong opinions about screen time, but as far as virtual school, like at this point, why wouldn't you just homeschool? Why wouldn't you just?
Yeah.
I have to, like, it's going to be painful. This is going to sound harsh, but what is it going to take for you to prioritize your kid, your own kid? If this bugs you, what are you doing?
Yeah.
If you don't like it, if they don't like it, whose responsibility is